All right, here's the bracket. Here
Yes,
it is.
Sir. Here we go.
Let's break it down here and talk about some of these matchups before we start putting teams in. I want to start here. We mentioned it, first time these two teams have ever played.
Yeah.
Clemson has not had great history against the SEC, specifically this year.
Of course.
What do you make of this matchup?
All right, so let's throw the first game out, Georgia, first game of the year. Too early to tell, right? And for a lot of football teams, right? But played really well against South Carolina, which we thought was one of those teams that was deserving to be in the playoff because of the hottest team in the SEC. I really like this matchup for Clemson. I think that they can do a lot of good things offensively. Like EJ was just saying, Cade Klubnik is playing fantastic football. His quick decision-making, his ability to run and scramble, I think is something that would give any defense fits, right, in this matchup. So big thing for Texas, keep Cade in the pocket. Don't let him get into scramble mode or use his legs to hurt you. The other thing that I find is interesting, too, Texas' secondary is phenomenal. It really is.
Yeah.
They can lock up about anybody.
Mukuba was ridiculous.
Mukuba was a one-man mission, just decapitating people, quite literally, actually, last night. So that's going to be a really interesting tell to see. Can Clemson get open consistently versus Texas? Will Texas kind of go more the press man look or quarters look, right? So it'll be curious to see how they play that one.
So here's just a look at the Texas resume this year. Again, 11-2, both losses to the same team.
Right.
The strength of schedule, I think, is a concern that a lot of people have for Texas this year. Considering where they are now, what are some of the things that Sark is going to be cooking up against this Dabo team and this defense for Clemson that has been a little bit up and down this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to say just for big picture for Dabo, right, when they play Texas, right, is can they run the football? Can they control the line of scrimmage consistently, right? For Texas, on the other hand, we've seen a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde approach to their own running game. You know, Wisner's been playing great, but we saw in two matchups versus Georgia, unable to just really get their offensive line and the running game going. So that's a big concern. You know, so really what it comes down to in a lot of these situations, right, is just kind of like what we do in the NFL. Which quarterback do you trust more to make the extra play or two to win the game, or the player to not make the big-time mistake? But you know, for this one, we got two great offensive minds, Riley and Sarkisian. We're going to see some awesome, just aggressive play calling and stuff like that. Texas, I thought, did a great job getting people open over the middle consistently against Georgia last night. Very impressive how they improved from that first time around. So uncommon opponents, but a lot of game film to go off of and build their game plans for.
And let's not forget what really started the comeback, if you will, for SMU last night was Jennings with his feet.
No doubt.
They got a guy that can do that really well.
For sure.
So, all right, let's pick this game. Who do you think has the edge?
Oh, all right. I'm going to go with, I think Texas has the edge, being at home, and really I think just Sark in that offense. And really where I want to go to mainly, I think just on the back end coverage-wise, they'll be able to cover really well. Barron, Mukuba, like you mentioned, doing a fantastic job on the back end covering. So I think that they'll do a really good job of limiting big plays in the Clemson passing game.
All right, next here, Tennessee, your boys going to Columbus to play in the shoe. This is going to be a really, really fascinating game to watch. The one area where Ohio State has some question marks is on their offensive line.
For sure.
That may be the strong suit on the defensive line for Tennessee, right?
It really is the strength of this team. Tim Banks and this defensive unit really are the star of the show. We always kind of think about just the offense, this high-flying. Well, that's not the case. Dylan Sampson is really the best weapon they have on offense, and how he goes and how the offensive line run blocks for him will dictate the success that they have. They did have a really good high-flying numbers against Vanderbilt passing-wise, but it was essentially the same concept 4 times in a row that led to big football plays. Ohio State is going to limit those plays, specifically that they ran against Vanderbilt that got so many people open. You know, so can they create a few game plan plays, right, to get open, to help their young quarterback with that environment, with that pass rush? You know, the edge definitely goes to Ohio State for being the more complete team, but what Ohio State offense will we see? Will we see the offense that had the good game plan plays against Penn State, or will we see that flat offense that we saw against Michigan and kind of get tight and constricted with how they call the football game?
All right, let's hit the X here. We'll pick pick these games. Tennessee, Ohio State.
Tennessee, Ohio State.
Unbiased, Maddie.
Unbiased. I mean, if I'm going like just straight up team for team here, like I think Ohio State is the better overall football team. I think Nico and them, they're not going anywhere. I'm excited for them.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a really good football team for years to come. I just think that for this first-round matchup, this might be too tall of a task for that passing against that secondary, and that's something that Trevor also alluded to as well.
Right. Nico, they're going to be around for a while.
They
All
are.
right. 2 losers in their conference championship game. I don't know if that's the way to start
say it
on it,
like
but
that, man.
2 teams that did not win their championship game.
Right.
How's that? SMU and Penn State. This game going to be in Happy Valley. It's going to be freezing. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I think with Rhett Lashley and his team, again, with Kevin Jennings as their quarterback, they've only lost 1 game.
That's right.
That was in the conference championship game. Penn State put up a fight against Oregon, the best team in the entire country this year. What do you make of this matchup?
I really like this matchup. I think it's one of the more interesting matchups that we'll see. And SMU, very aggressive on defense, right, at times, right, throughout the season. So they're not afraid to get after it, leave their corners on an island, and get after the passer. Drew Aller did a lot of really good things against Oregon. Now, he did make the mistake at the end. He did throw the interception there in the football game as well that led to an Oregon touchdown. So big picture-wise, I like Penn State. The fact that they ran the football so effectively in that Big Ten championship game really gives me a lot of optimism for this football team. I say they defend home turf again, so I'm going homers right now in this first round. Penn State with the victory over SMU.
The other thing I'm just looking at here, and this is a byproduct of having 12 teams in the playoff.
Yeah.
8 of the 12 teams have multiple losses.
Right.
Like, it's a toss-up between
We really could make a case for every one of the teams that we
team.
picked against right now. And really, maybe the one that I would debate the most would be Clemson, Texas.
I would agree with you.
You know, that was one where I really can see Clemson winning that football game again because of how well Cade Klubnik has been playing. You know, and this is the one, right, that I am so sorry. I really like Notre Dame a lot. I think they're a really good football team, and I think because of the way that I just said that, you know where I'm going to go with this. I think in a one-off football game, with how Indiana performed against Ohio State, I think that really prepared them for this football game.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's defensive line kind of concerns me at times. The fact that they were pushed around by USC so efficiently on the ground and in through the air, I think that Indiana actually advances here on the road and beats Notre Dame. I think Indiana, if they can stop this running attack by Notre Dame, which is so impressive with Love, Price, and Leonard at quarterback, of course, right? If they slow down the running attack, I think that gives them a tremendous advantage and win a low-scoring football game.
Okay, you're going to pick the 1-4 matchups. I'll pick the 3-2.
I'm picking 1-4?
Yeah, then we'll go through it here.
All right, so for this one, all right, let's go. I'm going to take Oregon again. All right, that was a hesitation, though, for sure. And I'm going to go with Texas.
Okay.
And we're going to get that matchup right there.
Okay. Now, again, reminder, these quarterfinals were at bowl sites, which, quote-unquote, are neutral sites.
Right.
But we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Boise State's road comes to an end after 1 game.
Okay.
And then, I think Georgia has shown that even with some of the warts, they are still a very good football team and can win with
And
backup
even with the
quarterback.
question mark of quarterback, you're still...
I'm okay with that. And plus,
Okay.
you have 24 days, I think, for Georgia to rest up until they play that game.
Listen, I'm a quarterback. I've seen hits like that before.
That was not good.
I would not be shocked if Carson Beck is done for the year.
Yeah,
I would not be
I
shocked.
agree
So
with
I
you.
think it's going to be Gunner as the guy going forward. The crazy thing about that is that I feel like the team played a little bit harder with Garner as the quarterback, and sometimes those random things happen with the football game, right? It just, another boost of energy, guys galvanizing because of injury like that. So I think Gunner actually gives them some good stuff here late in the year. And now for these, all right, so I'm gonna let you pick that
go
one.
ahead.
All right, for this one, all right, I'm going with Texas.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Why the
honestly.
upset? You just
I mean, I really think that just what they do offensively, my biggest concern, I think Oregon has a talented defense, but like Trevor mentioned earlier in the show, the 2 good offenses that they've seen, they've given up huge explosive plays.
Carved up, yeah.
This team can really create a lot of explosive plays. So
And
I
they
give them
could
a tremendous
stop them on
advantage.
the other end,
That's
too.
True, too.
That's the other factor.
But I do like Dylan Gabriel a lot, so that's a tough one.
All right,
for me
you know
to
what?
pick.
Screw it. We're going with Penn State.
Wow.
They're making the championship this year.
James Franklin.
We started this entire season saying James Franklin, Penn State, the 12-team playoff was built for you.
You just didn't want to see the Texas-Georgia matchup again.
I've seen it enough. I've seen enough. All right. Well, that was fun.
I could watch it again.